Can you guys all see my screen? Awesome. Great. All right. So good afternoon. You are here for Advanced Jamboards. And for those of you that don't know me, I know that Allison does. It's Bond, Virginia Bond, Bond like James, Virginia like the state. I work for NARIC as an ISS Integration of Technology Training Specialist. And I am based out of Malone. So I am an hour north of Lake Placid. And of course, you would know that my session would I'd start and my phone would go off. So I am an hour north of Lake Placid on the Canadian border, all the way up. Really cold. I was telling that to Kaylee this morning. It was -11 this morning when I went out to start my car at 7:15 in the morning. And it's a little brutal, and it's a whole 8 degrees now. I shouldn't complain. That's nice. So you are here for Advanced Jamboards, and I put the link to today's session to this document in which I'm going to mute Patricia. Just too much stuff is going on there. There we go. To today's session right in the link. So, sorry, no, I'm having a little bit of a mind fart today. We're going to work in a Jamboard. So you don't necessarily have to look at this document. It's kind of here for reference. Please feel free to make your own copy. So you can come up to File, make a copy. It'll add this into your Jamboard, into your own Google Drive, and then you can type right within it if you'd like, because it is editable. So you can type right in there. There's only 3 of you here. If you want to do it all together, you do that then too. And then you can file save it at the end. So I thought what we do is we're going to work in this. We're going to do a couple of things, and we're actually going to work in a Jamboard. So this Jamboard right here, it's between the purple. And if you click in there, you should be able to open up this Jamboard right there. I'm going to close up. And it should look like that. So when you open that up, I should see the 3 of you pop in. So I thought that the first thing that we would do is we would go through some of the basics of Jamboard. So the first thing I want to tell you is that when you go to create a Jamboard, really the Jamboard home, what we like to call it, the Jamboard home. Hi, Allison. I got another Allison. That's Allison. Is this my Allison A coming in right now?
Yes, it is. Sorry, I'm a little late.
No, you're fine. Not a worry. I got Allison N and Allison A, and here's the link to the chat. And what we did not, it's the link to the document. Blah. And I will give you the link to the Jamboard that we're in, so that will help. Here's the link to the Jamboard that we're going into. So the Jamboard home is like most other Google components. It's the name of the app.google.com. So you'll see this is Jamboard home, right? And this looks like Docs home, Slides home, where you can see all of your same kind of components all together. So one of the issues in here is when you're here, I can create new ones, right? I can come down to the bottom, click the plus sign, and make a brand new Jamboard. What I can't do from here that I can do from everywhere else, I can't right click on anything and make a copy. It doesn't exist, okay? And it's very counterintuitive because all other Google components work like that. Like I can go into a Google form and I can right click on it and make a copy, right? That makes sense. Why can I not freaking do that? I have no idea why. How's that for an answer? I don't know. Just doesn't work that way. So what you can do is you can be in a Google folder. So I'm going to go back to my Google Drive, and you can see this is my Google folder, right? This is the one for today's session. And I can right click in here, anywhere in a white space. And when I come to the more, you'll notice that the Jamboard is there. I think what this does, really, I think the purpose behind it is it kind of makes you choose a place where you want to put it. It does work anywhere in your Google Drive. So if you want to go out to your main drive and be out here and just like right click, go to more, come down and hit Google Jamboard, you can build it anywhere within your drive. The fact that it forces you into a, like, it doesn't force you into a folder, but that it allows you to work in a folder does kind of force you to be a little bit more organized to put it in the place where it should be. So I think it's just an important feature. Now, is there a make a copy feature? Heck yeah, there is, right? So I can come up into the Jamboard and like anything else, the three dots, dot, 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 there's make a copy right there. But it's not intuitive because it's not where it belongs and everywhere else. Every other Google component has it sitting somewhere else. So just understand, you can make a copy of a Jamboard. You cannot make a copy at the Jamboard home. You can make a copy in Google Drive. Got me swinging. I don't know why. All right. It's not consistent. So you can make a copy if you have it in Google Drive. You can't make one from the Jamboard home station like you can everything else. You can also make one right within the Jamboard. Now I say all that, why? Because I found out the hard way one time when I was trying to do this, because typically there are times I've taught this class and I've had like 80 people in the session. So 80 people in the session means I have to have multiple boards going at the same time. And why is that? Because Jamboards really only work well, and I'm using that like this, well, with like 25 people or less. So what I typically do is I make one Jamboard exactly the way I want it to go, right here, right? Exactly what I want. And then I would just come in and I would make a copy. Well, I was in the Jamboard home trying to make the copy and got really befuddled with myself that I couldn't make it happen. So I kind of did some exploring and found this little fact out that you can't copy there. So I can always make a copy in here, get the copy, will pop right into my folder where I have it, and then I can just name it. So like if I was doing this, had a lot of people in here, I would just rename it to like advanced and I'd call it point 2, right? So that I have one completely made perfectly, and then I make my copies of them so I can run with it from there. Okay, so that's the basics. So next thing, a little bit of a vocabulary lesson. Jamboards are called jams, the whole thing. A Jamboard is, so don't get ill, but I'm going to turn my camera for you. Can you see that big board right there? Across the room, that is a Jamboard, okay? It's a 55-inch screen. It literally looks like a huge iPad tilted in landscape mode, right? So that's what a Jamboard is. I'm going to turn the camera off while I put you back in place here. So a Jamboards are physical boards. And the Jamboard is the board itself and the app. When you're using it, it's called a jam. That's so I've said things like we be jamming, it's peanut butter jam time. As a musician, I like the we be jamming. I use that a lot. Anything along those lines. So it's a jam. It is made up of individual frames. These are the frames to a Jamboard. In comparison to a Google Slides, right? The actual name of the app is called Slides. They are called slide decks. And each of the individual pieces are called slides, all right? So try not to use like slides when you're talking about this. You do want to talk about frames. And that's just, when I do these vocabulary lessons, they're just kind of helpful to kind of understand. And so you understand what like kind of terminology to use with students. This piece up here is called the frame bar. So when I expand it down by clicking on the little boxes, it will pop down. And what I love about the frame bar, which is very different than slides, is I can see where you are. So right now there's 3 of you in here. I get these little avatars and they're anonymous. And I see Allison's like, hey, that's cool, right? What's nice is when you move from frame to frame, I know, right? So if Allison picks up and just goes to another frame anywhere on there, just I'm going to see her avatar and I'm going to say, okay, guys, I love how you all just did it on me, right? just go back to frame 1. And I love that because it's a little bit of student management, right? And because you're in anonymously, because I shared it with you by link, I don't know who is who. If I had shared it to you by email, right, or pushed it to you through a Google Classroom, I would know who that was because when I hovered over the avatar, it would tell me who you were. So that's even cooler little things that to know that you can do that as well. I love that feature because it does tell me who's in here doing what or who's where. Okay, so this is the frame bar. And then you have the sidebar. So the sidebar is where your tools sit. Now this is a shift from slides. Slides has your slide film strip mode down the side where your slides sit and your tools up at the top. In this, so Jamboard is like a whiteboard, your boards or your frames are at the top and your tools are on the side. And I always like to say to my students, which is you, is think about it like in my whiteboard over on the board over there, I have like a thing I can stick on the board where my pens sit, right? And so it's kind of like that. I'm pulling my pens off the side, right? And kind of thinking what it is. Now, what is a whiteboard or what is a Jamboard? It's literally a whiteboard. So as we kind of talk our way through it, it's going to do some things that you may have been able to do and not do. The one thing that Jamboard or Google has not fixed, I don't know if they're ever going to fix it. You can't put a live link in a Jamboard. It's not possible, right? That's the main, I know. I just saw that boo-boo face. I want it too, right? I do. Wouldn't it be great to have that ability? But right now it doesn't exist. Okay. So Google says 50 collaborators. They lie. Okay. I'm just telling you right now, 20 to 25 is really the best. And it'll go 20 frames. Now, Google, I have seen the roadmap. I haven't really seen the roadmap. I've been privy to some information down the road. One of the things they are working on is more frames. So you can have more frames than 20. Because that it would really be great. It would be nice to have more than 20. And it would actually be nice if collaborators could actually get up above 25 that could work in it. When they say 50 collaborators, you can have 50 people looking at it at the same time. You really can't have 50 people collaborating in this. It just doesn't function well. It gets really wonky. It gets really logy. And I like my really technical term there of logy, but you get the gist, right? It just, it doesn't function well. So like I said before, what I typically do is when I get up above 20, sometimes even when I get up above 10, I will make 2 boards. I'll make the one exactly the way, and then I'll make copies of them. And I'll link them in a document, just like I did here at the top of the document that I used, that you guys are in. So like on this one, I would maybe have like Jamboard 1, Jamboard 2, Jamboard 3. Or I'd have a separate document where I'd have students come in a doc, and I'd have a table set up and I'd have them put their names in, and then at the bottom I would have them the Jamboard that they were going to work in, or I'd pre-assign them if you don't trust them or you want control. All of those are good reasons to have, right? So I think that's all of those things are good. So that is just some of the things I like to do. And I have done this with a lot of people. That's the easiest way, and I find it works the best. On a Chromebook, if you're opening up a Jamboard, you want to open it in the app. So here's, because you'll get the option. Do you want to open it on the web or do you want to open it in the app? If they have the app installed, you want them to open it in the app. It'll function the best. Otherwise, you can open it anyway. So I'm not on a Chromebook. I am just on, I'm on a laptop. And on the laptop, it automatically opens. So there's not a problem. But sometimes people will log in and they'll have no tools down the side, right? They'll say, I don't have a toolbar. Have them close the tab and go back into it. It'll usually grab the toolbar the second time through. I think that's pretty much most of the basics. All right, moving images. Let's do this one because I feel like this is one that it seems really simple, but it's not always simple. So moving images. So you have 2 kinds of arrows, right? And have you guys worked with, I should have asked this at the beginning, have you worked with Jamboards before? I always get like, yeah, I've used it a little. Yeah, I like that. See, I've used it a little. I feel like I'm ready for the next step. Yeah, I know, Allison, you have. Kaylee, have you? Yeah, okay. So a couple.
I have not.
You have not. Okay, perfect. And most of these come from like I always say to people, I learned these things the hard way. So it's like the Virginia School of Hard Knocks. I learn all the things you shouldn't do, and then I teach you what you shouldn't do. Yeah, right, exactly. So on this, any kind of image. So when you click on an image, it puts these dots around it. Okay, this is just a Bitmoji I added in. I wish I looked that good in a bathing suit. And you get the four-sided arrow. The four-sided arrow allows me to move it. But what happens, I want you to notice, is that if you're somewhere else and you try to do it right, and you're here and you pick this up, it's going to draw instead, right? So what you really have to do is you want to click on the select arrow, and then you have the one-sided arrow. You really want to do this and get that four-sided arrow. See how it changes? Because now I can move it. Now that trick works everywhere in Google. You click on it to select it, and then you get the four-sided arrow. It's the same thing in slides, okay? That allows you to move it. And I also can do any kind of resiting. You also have the two-sided, which allows you to resize in any direction, right? You have the rotator cuff. It's not really, just Virginia, you're still funny today. I'm really not. I'm just having one of those days. You have that rotate feature right there. And you also have the three dots. The three dots will lead you to multiple things. That allow you to duplicate like that. So if I have more than one thing, we're going to use that in a few minutes. It's going to be really important. We're going to get rid of that. You also can click on the image and you can do Control D. Control D equals duplicate. Oh, I'm a huge proponent of learning all those tricks because I'm lazy. I want to do them quickly. You can also Control C for copy and then paste, 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 paste. Oh, look at that. See, like that's kind of cool, right? So those features work, and that's really nice to know. You also have up in here, let me just paste a few more so I have a few more. You have delete, right? Delete. Since I just copied, I can also Control Z, which is the undo feature. So if you've never used Control Z, that'll probably be that's the oh poop button. I have other words for it, but I won't do it in a recording, right? That's the, oh my God, I made a big mistake. How do I fix it? So the Control Z will let you go backwards. All right, so we did all those resizing. Also, you have in there ordering. So let me do this one. I'm going to paste one more of these in here, right? And I'm going to flip this one upside down. Okay, so you can see the difference in them, right? Make this one a little smaller just so you can see what I'm doing here. All right, so you have two images. I can put them on top of each other, right? But what I can actually do is I can order them. So my order is over here, and I can send this to the back. So now I have, looks like I have a great big wave, but I can do that. So I can have things on top of things, and I can order them. So there are 4 things in order. Bring to front, bring forward, send backwards, send to back. And people are like, I don't get the difference between them. Here they are. It's a layer cake. Okay. So just think of it as a layer cake. Bring to the front is like the icing on top and the candles. Bring to the back is the base layer. Okay. And all this other stuff is layers. That's how this works. So when you bring forward, you're bringing it up a layer. And when you're sending it backward, you're sending it back a layer. You have the back and the front. So I could have multiple layers of things stacked on top of each other. And then I can pull them out one by one. So it does work on the concept of layering if that's something you're interested in. Okay, so now we are going to stop right there because we're going to go off and we're going to go work in frame 2. So I'd like you to go to frame 2. And I'm going to have you do a little bit of work. So now, if you've never used this, I'm going to actually have you go in and try it. So we are going to add an image into this about how was your holiday break. Now, don't freak out because we're going to use the toolbar. We're going to come down the side. We're going to go to the 5th one. And you notice when you hover, it tells you what these do. So when you click add image, you can either grab your own, you can upload, you can take a picture. Oh, that would be fun. You can go to Google Drive, or you could do a Google image search. So I'm going to give you like 2 minutes. I'm actually going to put you on the clock for 2 minutes and go find an image to put in there. I will also do it as well. All right. And so you're going to click on that to add an image. You can use images, search, and insert. Okay. So answer this question. How was your holiday break? I'm trying to make sure I typed that right. I so totally did. Phew. I will also do it. I'm going to go find. Perfect. I'm going to use Giphy if it will let me. Oh, yep, you do. I want us to do it here. Yep. This link right here, Patricia, right? And we are on frame 2. Not a problem. And I picked the perfect time because classes, it's the end of the day here. So, oh, and Allison, that had to be you. Yeah, not a problem. Perfect. I am going to see if I can do this. Will it let me? Awesome. So if you noticed, I just added a GIF as well, which is cool. And if you've ever want to like get your kids involved, look at you guys all relaxing. I have to tell you that you'll appreciate this. Allison, and you're going to love this. So I had like basically 2 weeks of vacation, right? Because I took the Wednesday before Christmas off, and then I took the, oh my God, this is me. Who just put that in there? Who put it? Oh my God. My husband is Lamar, except Billy slipped on some ice on Wednesday and hurt his back. I had a 59-year-old child that I had to take care of. Oh my God, Patricia, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Oh my God. Yes. My husband, who has back problems, fell on his back and hurt his back more. And they're like, they did the x-ray. We thought he broke his arm, so I was kind of happy he just hurt his back. And he has a fractured vertebrae, which we're pretty sure is the one that was fractured from before. And I'm like, please don't check. I don't want to know. Don't make it any worse. But beyond that, it was really nice. But I did have 2 weeks of vacation. And Allison N should be so proud of me because I never take vacation. I did. I took some nice long time off and actually caught up. So this is awesome. You see how easy that was, right? It's easy to put in an image. So think about that. You can ask your students a question. You can have them put in an image. And you'll notice that I put in a GIF, which is a really nice thing, right? And I use this extension called Giphy for Chrome, but your students could search for one as well. What's nice about this is just a, yes, it was. They can just search for any kind of word and they can put it in here. It also does this. Now, I say that not all districts want to open this up. It also gives you emojis, which is really fun, right? So it's a really nice one to have. Simple. A couple things that I did with here that I think works really nice with students is that I kind of gave them directions, right? We go here and I used a little bit. Now you'll notice you also can't move these because I did this magic thing is I created as a background, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And it's not hard. I used Google Slides along with Jamboard and created what I want in Slides. And then downloaded it as a JPEG and added it as a background. And we're going to do that a couple times. So it's not magical. Okay, so just I'm going to have you go to the next slide. Yep, I'm going to have you go to the next frame because even I do it now and then. You'll notice when you go to the next frame, this is what the original looked like. So what I did, and I'm going to show you like the magic behind this, I keep a slide deck created where anytime I make a Jamboard background, I keep it in here. I keep them all together, and I'll show you what this looks like. So this is what they look like, right? I have lots of them that I've made in the past. And why do I do this? Because this was the original, right? This was the original one. I love this as an icebreaker, and I use this for an icebreaker a lot. And all I do is I change it. So you see what I can do is I can come in and change this. So this is what I do. I come in and I click on the slide and I right click on it and I duplicate the slide and then I make the changes. So I'm just going to change this one color. So I can pick different colors and I can put different questions in there. I just make these colors to change. I change them. I could put a different question here. I could change this. I could say like maybe my entrance ticket and I put the question here and then I put what students have to do. I give them time and then they come in because they can do a lot of other things with this as well. When I'm all done, I file, download as a JPEG, and I'll do that right here. And then I can put the name, I can name it whatever I want. So why do I do this? Why do I keep this like work deck? Because I am excruciatingly lazy and don't want to make things over and over again. I'm usually so busy that I don't have time. But if I'm going to use it once, I'm probably going to use it more than once, right? So if I'm going to use it more than once, I definitely don't want to remake it. So if I can just duplicate it, so there's the one that I made this morning, right, today for this group. It's so easy to just replicate this and reuse it and then to bring it in. And I have a lot of other things. So, and you'll notice that I have like, so this is sanity, just so we know, right? These are my bell ringers. I also have this thing, like I've made some JPEGs. I also see these. All I did in Google Slides is put some text in here and linked the text to a slide. And then when I come in to grab this work deck, I can click wherever I want to. So if I just want to go to graphic organizers, it'll take me into my graphic organizers, right? So think about this as like your original copy of the things you would make, right? This is work smarter, not harder. So if there's things that you know you're going to use all the time, you can actually make them however you want. Okay. And it's another thing it's really good for is like differentiating our instruction for our students. So if you have like a topic and you need to change the language in here a little bit for one student or another, you can do that really easily, making the slide doing. And the other thing is kids can't move it, right? They can't move this because it's now background. So that's one of the huge things that I think is great. Okay. So when we're in a Jamboard and we're going to stay on frame 2 or frame 3, excuse me, one of the things we always want to think about is the colors that are available to you. So when we think about it, you are stuck to the 6 colors of Google, right? Black, blue, green, white, yellow, red. So some people love that. Some people hate it. I'm a huge proponent of the love. I taught music for 27 years and my kids would just freak out because they had to have the perfect color of pink, right? Pink's not an option. You get 6 colors, pick one, here we go, right? I only see you once every 6 days. I get you for 40 minutes. Please don't take 20 minutes to pick a color, right? Pick your color, we're moving on. And all things work in the same way. Your shapes only have 6 colors. So you'll see, I just drew a shape and I can fill it with a color, okay? If I have the color chosen in the box, the next time I draw a shape, ooh, that's new. It shows me what color it's going to come in. Well, isn't that fancy? Sometimes I don't see all the updates when they come out either. So you'll notice because I have blue chosen, it will stay blue. Okay, that's a really nice feature so you know what color you're working in. Can I change the color? Well, yes, of course I can change the color, right? So all of those pieces work. So it's simple. Simple's not a bad thing. So one of the other things I talked about was knowing the power of the copy, right? So here's one copy. So I want you each to grab one of those shapes, and I don't care what it is, and Control C on it. So you're going to select it to highlight it. Click on it. Yep. And I only have 3 shapes, but I don't care. Pick another one. You guys can have duplicates on one. And then Control C and do it multiple times. So I see lots of them on the page. So it should look like this, right? Just fill that page right up. See how easy that is? Now you can undo them by Control Z-ing them backwards. Control Z, right? This is two-handed driving, kind of like two-handed typing. It's always better if you drive with two hands. I do have a mouse, so I am using a mouse. When I am on my laptop alone, I am just on my touchpad. But my other hand is always very close to Control Z, Control C, and Control V. Okay? That's so I can use both hands because I can go twice as fast. I'm not doing this, right? No hands crossing. Left hand on the left side, right hand on the right side. That's also the music teacher in me, right? Two sides, two half a brains, make them both work at the same time will work better. Besides that, it also teaches your little people. So I have seen Jamboards used with kindergartners and people like, no. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's easy. You teach your kids to click on things and then to make them copy, right? They can do Control C with their little pinky and their pointer, right? You can do that on a Chromebook. That's a great skill to teach them because they then feel like they're magic because they can make things copy and disappear and teach them that skill. That's a good skill for them to have. All right, arrows. We did do the arrows, so these are perfect. We can move them all around. Now, what else can you do? You can also screenshot things. So I am going to go do this. Trying to go to a place that's not controversial. God knows there aren't any anymore. So here we go. Oh God, I don't want to talk about the governor right now. No, okay, we'll just take a little bit of text. So I'm going to use my snipping tool. I'm on a laptop. I'm going to use my snipping tool. I'm going to snip just a little bit. Let's say right there, copy, right? So you see it. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back to my Jamboard. Sure I am. And I am going to paste it and look what happens. So I want you to think about that as far as what you could do on a frame. So I'm going to come up to the frame bar, I'm going to go up, I'm going to insert a frame. I'm going to come up in the middle, I'm going to add a frame right in the middle. And on that frame, so now I'm on frame 4 because I moved everything out of the way, I'm going to paste that same thing again. And see what it does? I'm able to take things and kind of make them larger. So I could push a question to my students this way, right? I could find an article. I could find, so I only grabbed a title, but I could find an article. I could find a picture. I could take a picture of something in a book and put it in here, right? If I loaded the picture into my Google Drive, I'd be able to pull that out of my Google Drive. Because remember when we went into the image, I can insert from my Google Drive. So I'd be able to pull a picture from my drive and I could put it in there and then I could have students comment on here. So I'm going to have you do that. You don't have to write a real comment. You can just put your name. I don't care. You're going to use a sticky though. So down the side in 1, 2, 3, 4 is sticky notes. So just grab a sticky. You'll notice you have 6 colors, right? Grab a sticky and write on the board. Okay. So write a sticky and write something on there. Okay. So you clicked on the sticky. I'm just going to put my name because we're not going to make anything. There are no judgments, right? Okay. What I like about this is when you write, you notice what is happening. You stacked up on top of each other, right? Did you notice that? I love that as a teacher, your students' answers will stack on top of each other. When you build in it, if I build in it and I do multiple stickies, they will go next to each other. Because they know, hey, the creator is the person who's making it. So they probably don't want their stickies all on top of each other. All right, what else can you do with these that's really cool? So just like we did before, we can copy these. So we can duplicate them, right? So I could do the same thing as I did before. I can just copy, paste, paste, paste. So you're gonna have lots of Kayleys. I love that because that's a really cool thing. If you want to make a group of people and you're saying we have 6 people in the blue group, we have 5 people in the green group, or pick a color here, put your name on it. Okay, then I have to have a group with one of each in it. So I might make the group look like this, right? So there's group 1, or you know what I'm saying? So you can do some different things with that. That's pretty easy. So I use the snipping tool to grab this. If you're on a Chromebook, you can screenshot it. If you don't know how to screenshot on your Chromebook, I put a little video in the document that you can use. What else can you do in here that's really cool? You can do like a forced copy. So if I was in here, right, and I wanted to use this one and I wasn't using Jamboard and I wanted to do it really fast, I could come up into my header right here. So I'm in the Omnibar or the URL bar, and I could just write copy. See what I did? I'm going to do that again. I backed up to the first backspace. And all I did was overwrite it with the word copy. And I'm just going to see what it just said to me. It said, would you like to make a forced copy? I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it in the chat. Now, do not click it because you'll end up with 35 copies of this. You don't want that. But if I click it, right, you see how it says copy in the end? When I click it on it, see what it does. Oh, yes. No. That's okay. Continue. You're fine. See what it says to me? Would you like to make a copy? So let's say you're working on something with your students and you're on the fly and you don't want to go jump into your Google Classroom, or you're a Seesaw user and you don't use Google Classroom, or you're a campus and you don't want to push it out to them that way. You can be in it and you can say all of a sudden, okay, we've worked on this together. Now I'm going to force a copy and I'm going to have you guys work it. You can go in there, you can change that address to copy at the end, take it and paste it into a group message, or however you're communicating with your students. You could throw it into a document. Click on it, and then they'll all get their own copy, and they can continue the work from that point on. So it's a really nice way to use it, and it's different, right? It's a different way to use it than other things. Okay, so sharing with students. In Google Classroom, just like everything else, you can do it, they can view it, they can edit it, they can make a copy. That forced copy that I just showed you is the equivalent of them forcing a copy. You can also push it to them in differentiated groups. So remember when I talked about at the beginning, like I would make a copy if I had more than 10 people in the group and I'd have multiples. I'd make my first one and maybe I'd send it to the first 5. And then the next one I would make a copy and send it to the next 5, right? So that there are ways to do that. So you don't just have to all be in the one document together. So anything that you can do in Google Classroom with like a slide deck, you can do with a Jamboard. Now, really, what's the purpose? The Jamboard purpose is really to be able to collaborate on the fly and quickly, right? It has limited tools, which is great. It's got those limited pens here across the top. You've got the pen, the marker. I'm always scared I'm going to do them in the wrong order. The highlighter, the brush. And what happens is that like the opacity changes with each kind of tool you use. So that's pretty simple. The limited is, like I said before, a cursing or a curse or a blessing. I personally think it's a blessing because I want to be able to work with my kids quickly and I'm gathering information. So just think of those are some things that you can do. Now, if I want to share it with my students, I think this is probably one of the hardest things. I'm going to go to this other one. I'm going to lie. I'm going to go here. Let's go to this one. So when you come into a Jamboard, come on there, puppy head. A little slow on the old uptake. I will close CNN. It's probably what's bogging it down. I love the internet. There we go. I'm going to come into share. Phew. That was painful. All right. I'm going to come into share. So we're all really used to this, but I like to review it. I'm actually going to turn my camera off because I feel like all of a sudden I got super logy. I did. Wow. Everything got slow. Stop my video. Hopefully that'll increase it. Okay. So when you come in, you'll notice every time you make a Jamboard, it defaults to restricted. So if I want to change it, I come beneath it and click it, and then it defaults to viewer. So it's actually 2 clicks. You got to click restricted, and then you got to change it to editor. All right, so you can do it that way. You also have, so you only have restricted in anyone with the link. And then when you come to anyone with the link, you can change it to editor. Now, the thing that I always tell people is remember that you come in anonymously. But if I went up here and I decided that I didn't want to share it anonymously, and I went back to change this to anyone to restricted, which is only people added, and I added in someone, right? Because I can do that. let's go up here. I'm going to close that and I'm going to come up here and I'm going to add Allison Novotarski, right? I can type in somebody's address directly. And then as Allison came in and decided to play with this or to make changes in here, Allison, you're in my address book, right? Allison came in and decided to make changes to it. When she made changes to it, her little avatar would pop up, but it would be her Allison N. So when you're using it with students and you want to know who is doing what, one of the best things to really do is to add them in by email directly. Now that seems scary because everybody's like, I do not have time to type in those addresses. So if you keep a document with all of your students' email addresses in, you can copy and paste them all in one fell swoop. That will make it much easier. Okay, so if Allison comes in, she makes changes, I'm going to know who made those changes. That can be very helpful. All right, so we've already talked. Let's talk through tips now. Okay. So one of the big things, the tips is that keeping that like a work deck, right? Keeping a work deck that you can use in the document that I gave you, you can click on that workspace document. You do have edit rights to this. I don't know if you do. I may not. Yeah, no, you don't. You have view rights. If you want a copy, like if you want to be able to edit it, I will send you a link. Just let me know and I will send you a forced copy. I don't let anybody edit this one because it really is mine. It's where I keep a lot of my work that I do with teachers. So that's my first thing. I think that's the big one. So let's talk about customized images. I'm going to go back into my slide deck and I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go back to frame 1. See this? Okay, I am super vain. I know that. I know I'm vain, but you can't do this in Jamboard, but you can do this in slides. So this is slides and Jamboard go together like peanut butter and jelly, or in this case, peanut butter and jam. Right? I know. We'll show you a little JPEG here. So I'm going to show you a little JPEG work because it's not very hard. So you can see I've made a few of this. Yeah, this is a great one. This is a great one. I'm going to go backwards with this. We're going to take everything on this off. We're going to reset the image. Okay. We're going to make this a little, right? This is so me. It's funny, right? Yeah, it's very true, right? I have been told that my face will give me away 100 times. So I want to make this look different. It's nice that it's a box, but I want to be able to just pull a little bit of the image out. So I click on the image to select it, and then I come to the crop tool and I mask it. That's what this is called. When I change an image, it's called masking it. So I can mask an image, and let's just use something a little better than the call out. We'll use the circle right there. Okay. So there's the circle. And all I did to this is I changed the outside border, I made it a little thicker, and then I changed the color, and then I have an image. Now, just like before, I file, download the image as a JPEG. It's going to say, where do you want to save it? I'm going to rename this one. I'm just going to call it face so I can find it. And then I can insert an image the same way as before, just like we did before when I inserted a background. I can insert an image. This one's just called face, and I open it up and voila, there it is right there. So what I can do is I can do these really cool little things. Now, you cannot crop within Jamboard. Images are images, so you kind of have to go like this. But I can also do this and send this to the back, right? Send to the back. And look what happens. It can be written over now, right? Because these are just layers. So there, it's in the back. Can students move it? They sure could, right? Because it's not a background. So if I wanted to do, I could go in and set these things as backgrounds. So you saw me make that as a JPEG. You saw how I did it. In a separate frame, I can come in here, set background. I'm going to choose my image. I'm just going to browse for face because that's the one I just made. open. And I now will have that in there as a background. So think about that because you can make anything you want as a background. I'm going to take this out because gosh knows nobody needs to see that in the presentation, right? So this is a question with two boxes. So now that you kind of know what I've done, right? This is one box. I put two shapes in the back with gray and I typed a little text box in there. I put a little thing in here, but like nobody can like work on that. I made it all in slides, downloaded it, and I have a background. I'm going to just keep going here so you see a couple more. Here's another one. Here's another example, right? We use KWL charts all the time. Some of you use graphic organizers for writing. So if you made your graphic organizer, you could do that in slides. You'd make it in a slide and then you'd file, download it as a JPEG and upload it as a background. You're going to keep it in that slide deck because then you'll always know where it is. So there's lots of things you can do in here. I'm trying to see if I have any more. I might not have any more. So that's just like a couple simple examples of some that you can do. And we use stickies as well. I already did that. Okay, so let's look at a couple examples. So here I'm going to come, what I did is I came back into this document here. So I'm going to show you a couple of different examples that you can look at. So we're going to look at the one that I have already had open, and I'm going to close everything to the right. So I'm going to close that. All right, so having your organizers in one place is kind of the equivalent of having a workspace. If that's something you like, oh, look at that. Okay, we're going to exit that page because it's decided it hates me. Try it again. Oh, there it is. Perfect. So what kind of organizers can you have? Basically, if you have it, you can make it. So this is just a simple one that I made, right? This is a story that students would read online. And I think we actually took this from Wonderopolis. So students could do 5 facts. So they could just take a sticky note, fact number 1, then come here and do fact number 2, fact number 3, right? And then here's the next one, same thing, another story. They do the same thing. And then here they would do, now this, I built this old school, the old way where I drew 2 circles and put them on top of each other, right? This is literally compare and contrast. Could I go in and find a Venn diagram? I sure could. Like if I had a Venn diagram, I'd be able to pull it in, right? And I want my students to compare and contrast the 2 writing pieces. And they can either type in here, right? Because you can put a text box in and they can type in here, or they could use those sticky pieces. Because what's cool is I'm going to come back and let's say that in here I had, I'm going to go in here, I'm going to write a green one, right? I'm going to say vote 2, which would be my second fact. Second fact, right? Okay, I'm going to save that. So there's my second fact for vote, right? And I want to do that. So remember when we copied, we duplicated, right? Oh, I don't want to do that. Undo. I want to get rid of that. Thank you. Go away. I want to copy it. I want to copy it. I can come over here and I can paste across my frames. So when students do all that work, so they could read one day and pull information, and then they could pull it in here and say what was different. Like this is the facts from here. This is the facts from here. These are the ones that make sense. Does that make sense? It's kind of a different way to use it and to really see this visual thought process for students. This is also a good way to work with students who are reluctant writers, right? And especially to get younger students really to work, students that really struggle with pulling facts out. They can work together as they read it. They can pull the facts out together as a team. They can work collaboratively on this document and then find the similarities as well. So that's just a different way to use this. Here's that KWL chart as well. I also have a district that uses the 4 square. They do 4 facts, or they might do a starting paragraph and ending paragraph. And this is the main topic sentence, and then they have their facts in here. So that's just a different form. There's also writing paper. There's also in here, we're going to add a frame in here. You can also, I've seen math teachers come in and set the background and just put in the graph paper. What's also nice, because this does not show great on a whiteboard in the front of the room. You set the background to black and then put the graph paper on top of it. No, I thought it did that. I lied to you. Oh, it's the gray. Sorry, my brain. You can have the gray. You can also, and I like this because this does help when you're graphing pieces, you can zoom in like this. So I've seen some teachers come in and grab lines. So math teachers have come in and put lines and protractors and all those pieces on there. And then they use this for their math lessons so they can do graphing as well. Okay, just trying to make sure, and I'm almost done. Just make sure I have everything in here. Word work. So this is a little different. I think we also made this like addition and math subtraction. Does not look like word work anymore, but you can do any kind of, oh, nope, somebody totally changed my document. Sorry, guys. You can have them do math on here. I will put the word work one in there. So we'll go find it just so we have it and you guys can see it. We're going to come up here. We're going to look for a Jamboard. That's weird that I can't see that, and it's going to be owned by me. And it has the words word work. Should be in there. Like I'm pretty sure nobody threw that out, but obviously somebody got to it before I did. So here's an example of younger students being able to build words. So I put stickies across the top and the bottom. I made the vowels different colors, the Y a different color. And then I would teach my students to duplicate or to use the Control C. So they'd be able to Control C and they'd be able to make, undo, Control C, and they could make their words that they wanted, like that. I could put like the onsets, the ats together and then have them build their own words as well. So that's that manipulative. And I know for a lot of special ed teachers, they're missing that like hand work that they've done in the past with the students when they're doing that actual manipulation. This is keeping track of their own words. Obviously, they can actually type on top. Some students have, some teachers have liked to use this for like lines for writing. They are sticky notes. Yeah, Patricia, that's not like magic, right? I made them as sticky notes. So all I did is I pulled the sticky note up and I made like, because I could do this as well, like just make the at family and put it down there. And all I did is I made one, right? I made one, I duplicated the rest, I pulled them and then I edited them. Yeah, trickery, right? Trickery. And this is very reminiscent of a smart notebook software kind of piece here, right? Except that Smart Notebook has infinite cloner. I don't have an infinite cloner option, so I kind of have to just fake it. Beyond that, you also have in here, there is a fry word list that's kind of like, I think I have up to like 100 words as well. So this is this came out of pandemic teaching for a special educator I was working with who always tests her kids. So she couldn't do that because she couldn't touch her boards or she couldn't touch her things. So she had the students do it. If they get it right, they go up top. If they get it wrong, they go down to the bottom. So, and she sets a timer for like a certain amount of time and they run their way through them. So they're chunked up into 25 sets. Just a different way to do it to give her something that's a little different, a different way. I also have some different manipulatives in here. So these are all boards that you can make a copy of. Feel free to go up into the three dots, make a copy, take anything you want. You guys know I don't really care if I have things, right? Lots of different things in here, like boxes. You can put things in here. This obviously has been used in the past. You can build anything with an image. This is an image in the background and you can cover it. So it's a great way to build it, duplicate the page, cover pieces up so you can review things with students. It's just an image I found online. It's not anything fancy. You could have students, put information that they know. So this is just an image I imported. Students could use the sticky notes to put information they know about this document. You could put any document there that they could look at. Anything that, like, a primary document is great because you can actually come into the primary document and then you could, like, underline it. You can write on it. All of those things you would have the ability to do that you typically would not have the ability to do. I'm trying to think what else is in here because I do not remember. Okay. I did money once. This is always a big one that people like. I brought money in. I just brought the images in, reworked them, and then I put the tasks up in here so people could go through and do the pieces. So if you can make it, you can build it. Okay? So that's the main thing. You can use your stickies to kind of move pieces around. Questions. I gave you more. There's more things in there as well. You can use it for SEL checks and all those kinds of things as well. If you can build it and you want your kids to move it, really, Jamboard is what you need it to do. If you want to have a link, then you probably need to do it in slides. Does that make sense? That's like the basics. So I think having that work deck saves you a lot of time in the long run. It seems like a lot to set up, but if you're building them, just keep building them all in the same place. Because then next year when you go to do it, or second semester when you go to do it, you're already going to have them built and you can rework them as you go. Questions? So I am all done. Okay, so here's kind of the basics of what's left. I will mark attendance complete for you guys that have attended today. So your attendance will be marked complete today. Allison A, I need you to stay for like 1 minute. You will receive an email with the deck and the video. So you'll have the video as well after it's done. Once I get the video back, it usually takes a day. And then I will get that out to you tomorrow. But you guys are all done, and thank you so much. Allison A, did you see my email that I sent you?
Just the one with the link. No.
Okay, well, I sent you another one, and you are a problem child. No, you're not really. I sent you an email 3 times.
Oh.
Your email is wrong within Frontline. It only has 1 A. It only is Ayers. It doesn't have Ayers. And I sent it like 3 times, and I finally sent it to Hillary. I'm like, Hillary, what's wrong with this? Any idea? She goes, I think her email's wrong. So, and I'm like the queen of Frontline. I should be able to go in and edit it. I can't. So if you know, I think you might be able to do it.
Okay.
So if you go into Frontline and go into my profile, you should be able to change your email address.
Okay.
If you can't, somebody in district has to do it.
Okay.
So some bonehead in district put it in wrong. All right. But at least I feel like, and I know like you have a course with me next week as well.
Oh, you're doing that one too?
Yeah. So if it comes up and you don't go through, I know how to fix it now.
Okay, thank you.
Because I sent you an email like 6 times and it kept going non-deliverable. I'm like, I know I put it in right. No, it's not your fault, but at least I figured it out. Okay?
Okay, great. Thank you. And can you send me one of those forced copies of the deck that you made?
I sure can.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This was great. Thanks so much.
Great. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.